Hello friends, today we will discuss another disease of the heart. This disease involves or affects the endocardium. Now we all know what is the endocardium. Endocardium is the layer which lines the innermost layer which lines the inner part of the heart. And endocardium is also the layer which lines the valves. So we will see disease which affects the valves and the mural endocardium, that is the infective endocarditis. Before we go to infective endocarditis, let's see what is endocarditis. Now, as the term implies itis, it is the inflammatory involvement of the endocardial layer of the heart. Causes of endocarditis are classified into two types, the non-infective causes and the infective causes. The non-infective causes are the rheumatic endocarditis, the Liebman-Sachs endocarditis, non-bacterial thrombotic endocarditis or NBTE. And infective endocarditis, most important cause is the bacterial endocarditis, which we will talk about today. And there are other infective types of endocarditis due to tuberculosis, fungal organism, syphilitic organism, viral and rickettsial. Now, most of these endocarditis are characterized by the presence of vegetations or verrucae. These vegetations or verrucae, they have very distinct features in various types of endocarditis, and we will see the types of vegetation seen in all types of endocarditis. So coming to infective endocarditis, with the learning objectives of today's session, we will define what is infective endocarditis, describe the clinical subtypes of infective endocarditis, etiopathogenesis of acute and subacute endocarditis, describe the morphological features of heart valve lesions in endocarditis, list the Duke's diagnostic criteria, complications of IE. We will also see pathologic lesions in other endocarditis such as Liebman-Sachs and non-bacterial thrombotic endocarditis, and we will differentiate different types of vegetation in these endocarditis morphologically. Infective endocarditis. How do we define infective endocarditis, or what is infective endocarditis? It is a serious infection of the heart valves and mural endocardium caused by microbiologic agents, which leads to colonization or invasion by microbial agents. So it is a serious infection of the heart valves and the mural endocardium caused by microbiological agents. And the infection of these valves and endocardium leads to formation of vegetations, which are bulky, friable and infected lesions at the site. So wherever they lodge, they colonize in the valves, the mural endocardium, they form bulky, friable, infected lesions which are called the vegetations. Now, what are the common sites of colonization? They are the heart valves, congenital defects in heart valves such as PDA, coarctation of aorta, bicuspid aorta, bicuspid aortic valve. So such congenital defects, it affects the mural endocardium. Even in some cases, it may affect aorta, aneurysmal sacs, other blood vessels, and also the prosthetic valves. Which are the microbes responsible for causing infective endocarditis? In most cases, it is due to bacteria, and that is why this endocarditis is also called as bacterial endocarditis. Other causative organisms are fungi, rickettsia, chlamydia, which may also be responsible in some cases. Classify. How do we classify endocarditis? Infective, and this is infective endocarditis. So classification is based on the clinical grounds. That is, it is classified, these are the two clinical subtypes. That is the acute infective endocarditis and the subacute infective endocarditis. Acute and infective endocarditis is very severe, in which more than 50% mortality occurs, and the disease occurs in the course of very short duration, in the course of days. And subacute infective endocarditis is of short duration, low mortality. The course is only in weeks or months. Now, which is the type of infective endocarditis is largely determined by the virulence of the infective organisms and the presence or absence of underlying cardiac disease. So it depends on two things: virulence of organism and presence or absence of underlying cardiac disease. So what is acute? We'll see both. What is acute infective endocarditis and what is subacute infective endocarditis? Acute infective endocarditis, as the name suggests, has an acute onset. It is a destructive lesion, infection, frequently of a previously normal heart valve. So here this disease affects this infection affects a normal heart valve, and the infection is of the destructive type. It is caused by a highly virulent organism, mainly by Streptococcus aureus and Streptococcus pyogenes. So organisms are Staphylococcus aureus and Streptococcus pyogenes. These are very highly virulent organisms. It leads to death within days to weeks in more than 50% of cases, despite antibiotics and surgery. So acute endocarditis, remember two things. It is caused by a highly virulent organism, that is Staph aureus, and it affects a previously normal heart. So there is no underlying problem, but the virulence of the organism is so much that it destroys a previously normal heart. Etiology can be due to secondary to septicemia, due to complication in infections such as boils, carbuncles, osteomyelitis. We will see the predisposing factors ahead. Subacute endocarditis is of insidious onset. It involves infection in a previously abnormal heart, particularly on deformed valves or abnormal valves. So here it is not the normal valves, but the previously abnormal or deformed valves are affected and caused by organisms of low virulence, that is Streptococcus viridans or Staph epidermidis. Lesions are less destructive. They pursue a protracted course of weeks to months, and most patients recover with appropriate antibiotic therapy. Here in subacute endocarditis, complications are less common, whereas in acute subacute endocarditis, it is a destructive lesion, and therefore the affected valve is rapidly destroyed and many complications may occur. So acute in endocarditis caused by highly virulent organism on previously normal valve, whereas subacute endocarditis caused by low virulence organism on a previously abnormal or deformed valves. Prompt diagnosis and identification of organisms and thus effective treatment of endocarditis can alter the outlook for these patients. The clinical presentation, which we have described above as acute and subacute, nowadays are unusual because there has been advancement in antimicrobial therapy. Therefore, there is a lot of overlap between acute and subacute infective endocarditis, and therefore nowadays infective endocarditis is classified according to anatomic location, where that is which valve is affected and which is the offending organism. But for your knowledge, you must know what is acute endocarditis, what is subacute endocarditis, and what are the differences between the two types of endocarditis. Coming to the causative organisms, it is many organisms or most organisms, they can cause infective endocarditis, and organisms, most of them originate from the normal flora of body surfaces and enter into blood. So which are the organisms? It is the Staph aureus, which is we know it is a virulent organism normally found on the skin. So its normal flora is on the skin, but it is highly virulent and it can cause infection of normal valves. Staph aureus is also responsible for causing infection in valves of IV drug abusers. So Staph aureus is the cause in normal valves and IV drug abusers. And I've already mentioned before that Staph aureus causes acute type of endocarditis. And this occurs in around 20 to 30% of cases. Another organism is the Streptococcus viridans, which causes infection in 60% of cases. Now, Streptococcal viridans also a normal flora organism. It forms the normal flora of the mouth, and it is the most common cause of infective endocarditis in previously damaged or abnormal valves. Staph epidermidis commonly is seen to be infecting the prosthetic valve and causing prosthetic valve endocarditis. So Staph aureus, acute endocarditis, that is normal valves and in IV drug abusers. Streptococcus viridans is causing infection in previously damaged or abnormal valves. There are other organisms also known as the HASSEC group, which includes Haemophilus, Actinobacillus, Cardiobacterium, Echinella and Kingella. Other gram-negative bacilli and fungi can also cause infective endocarditis. In 10 to 15% of cases, no organisms are isolated from blood. That is, the culture report when done comes out to be negative. So, in 10 to 15%, no organisms are found. Etiology of infective endocarditis. There are three main predisposing factors which predispose to development of infective endocarditis. The first one is conditions which have bacteremia, septicemia and pyemia. So if the organisms are in the blood, it can lead to these persons are prone to develop infective endocarditis of heart valves. And this bacteremia, septicemia, pyemia may be occurring due from periodontal, prodontal lesions, that is dental lesions, GUT, GIT, biliary tract, from boils, carbuncles, etc. When these organisms, they enter into circulation from these septic foci, they are dislodged whenever there is a dental or surgical procedure, and these can come and lodge in the valves and cause infective endocarditis. The second predisposing factor is the underlying abnormal cardiac lesions. So whenever there is an deformed valve, deformed cardiac lesion, it can predispose to development of infective endocarditis. And of these underlying lesions, the main or the most important one is the chronic rheumatic heart disease with valvular scarring, which can be superimposed by infection. Others are mitral valve prolapse, congenital conditions such as bicuspid aortic valve, patent ductus arteriosus, and as I mentioned earlier, prosthetic valves also. Thirdly, the host defenses, if they are impaired in conditions like leukemia, lymphoma, in toxic therapy, even in diabetes mellitus. So these are conditions in which the immunity is suppressed and these persons may be susceptible to infection of their heart valves and mural endocardium. Main thing is, because there are these predisposing factors, prevention of infective endocarditis with predisposing factors is prophylaxis with antibiotics. So if any procedure, anything is to be done on these predisposing individuals, prevention or prophylaxis with antibiotics has to be covered. Coming to pathogenesis of infective endocarditis. So the basic lesion we can say starts from a damaged valve. Whenever there is a damaged valve, a congenitally deformed valve, that will lead to some turbulence of blood flow in that area, which can lead to endocardial damage. And if endocardium is damaged, there is denudation of the endocardium and thus platelets, fibrin, they come to settle over there and lead to formation of an embolus. At this stage, embolus is or a thrombus is a sterile thrombus. And this embolus then predisposes to adherence by microorganisms. So whenever there is bacteremia, pyemia, septicemia, in those cases the microorganisms which are circulating in the blood, they come to settle on this sterile thrombus and lead to proliferation of organisms in this vegetation, which further leads to formation of infected lesions and formation of infected emboli. Now these emboli, there is emboli, these are the vegetations which are made up of platelet, fibrin and colonies of microorganisms. And this is what we call as vegetation or the verrucae formation. In IV drug abusers, we can say the microorganisms, they gain entry into the skin along with injection of the drugs. So they enter into the circulation and these microorganisms then lodge in the valves or the endocardium. Morphology of infective endocarditis, it is the valves, disease of the valves which are mainly affected. Mitral valve and aortic valves are commonly affected. The right side of the heart is less affected. In that, tricuspid and pulmonary valves may be affected, except in gonococcal infection and IV drug abusers, which mainly involves the tricuspid valve. There are very little changes in myocardium and pericardium. So it is mainly disease of the valves and the endocardium. And it is mainly the mitral and the aortic valves affected. Tricuspid in case of IV drug abusers and gonococcal infection. What are the lesions which are seen on these valves? They are mainly on the previously diseased valves, and the lesions, as we called them earlier, are the vegetations. They are the hallmark of infective endocarditis. Now, what is the characteristic of these vegetations in infective endocarditis? We've already said vegetations are present in all endocarditis, but they have a typical appearance in each endocarditis. So, in infective or bacterial endocarditis, they are large, friable, polypoid, grey tawny to green colored vegetations on valve. They are easily detachable. They are present along the line of contact of cusps and they are so bulky and destructive. They extend along surface of valves, adjacent endocardium. They may extend from mitral valve onto the chorda tendineae, and so they basically involve and destroy the adjacent structures also. They have an ulcerative tendency, causing ulcerative destruction of the valve cusps. Lesions in subacute are associated with less destruction, as we've already mentioned before. Microscopically, what do we see in these vegetations? They are made up of eosinophilic fibrin and platelets. And beneath these are basophilic colonies of bacteria. And beneath, the base is formed by non-specific inflammation and granulation tissue, which with time forms fibrosis and calcification. So gross appearance, these are the bulky vegetations which are seen on this mitral valve along the line of cusp of contact. Again here in the mitral valve you can see the arrow showing these bulky destructive lesions. This is a bicuspid aortic valve showing these bulky vegetations. This is the microscopic appearance where you see this. The pink is the fibrin material and this blue what you see are colonies of bacteria. So this figure we will discuss later again, but just for now just see the vegetations in infective endocarditis. You can see as compared to others, these are big bulky lesions which are present at the cusp point of contact and they are even destroying the adjacent chorda tendineae. Complications of infective endocarditis are cardiac complications and extracardiac complications. Cardiac complications are due to direct valve damage. And extracardiac complications are due to two phenomena. One is the embolic phenomena, that is the thrombus embolizes, and another is the immune complex mechanism. Cardiac complications include valvular stenosis or insufficiency. So the mitral and the aortic valve, they may develop stenosis, or sometimes the chorda tendineae may become weak, rupture and lead to insufficiency or incompetence of mitral valve. Perforation, rupture and aneurysm of valve leaflets may occur. Ring abscesses may occur because, as I said, these vegetations, they destroy the adjacent endocardium and this may even erode into the underlying myocardium, leading to myocardial abscess formation. Ring abscess may form around the rings and myocardium abscess in the myocardium may develop, which are collection of polymorphs around the necrotic material, also called as breakwater bodies. Then suppurative pericarditis may occur. Subpericardial petechial hemorrhagic areas are also commonly seen. So these are the cardiac complications. Here you can see in this figure, so mitral stenosis or insufficiency, abscess of the ring, that is the ring abscess, myocardial abscess, aneurysm of the valve cusp and suppurative pericarditis may occur. The extracardiac complications are due to, as I said, first embolic phenomena and immunological phenomena. Embolic phenomena is due to the emboli, which are, because the vegetations are can be easily detached and they are brittle, they may detach from there and spread out, enter on the left side of circulation, or it may also enter into the from the right side of the. If the emboli, these are all septic emboli, that is emboli containing lots of microorganisms. When they enter from the left side, they enter into the systemic circulation and they may lead to infarcts in the spleen, kidney and brain. Even the small in emboli may circulate and dislodge in the skin, leading to petechial splinter hemorrhages and another lesions which are called as Janeway spots, which are painless maculopapular lesions on the pulps of fingers or soles. Septic emboli, as I said, from the right side may enter into the pulmonary circulation and lead to pulmonary abscess formation. The second cause for extracardiac manifestation is the immunological phenomena, and here this phenomena occurs due to deposition of antigen antibody complexes, and they may be deposited in the kidney leading to petechial hemorrhages on the kidney, that is flea-bitten appearance, hemorrhages in the retina which is known as hemorrhagic spots known as Roth spots, then Osler's nodes, which are painful small swellings at the tip of the fingers. So this is a figure showing all the extracardiac manifestations. From the left side, the brain, the kidney and the spleen are infarcts occur. From the right side, it is the lungs that may be infarcted. Then due to immunologic phenomena, there is this kidney affection and Osler's nodes, Janeway spots, the subungual or the splint hemorrhages which occur. So these are the Janeway spots or the painless macular-papular lesions, erythematous lesions on the pulp of fingers. Here you can see these also again. And these are the Osler's nodes, which are painful small swellings seen at the tips of the fingers. And these are the splinter hemorrhages, petechial hemorrhages in the nail beds. These are again pictures showing splinter hemorrhages, Janeway spots. This figure shows the Roth spots on the in the retina. Now, what is the clinical presentation of the patients of infective endocarditis? The most consistent and most important presentation is the fever. Fever with chills, weakness and lassitude may occur. Cardiac manifestations may occur, that is murmurs may be seen, due either new murmurs or due to murmurs due to deformed valves. Then evidence of embolism may be seen, as we have already seen the manifestations that are extracardiac and cardiac manifestations. For diagnosis of infective endocarditis, to facilitate that diagnosis, we have the Duke's criteria. So this Duke's criteria is divided into two types, the pathologic criteria and the clinical criteria. The pathologic criteria, there are two pathologic criteria. One is demonstration of microorganisms by blood culture or histologic examination in vegetation, embolus or an abscess. So demonstration of microorganisms either by culture or by histopathologic examination. And second pathologic criteria is histological confirmation of active endocarditis in vegetation or intracardiac abscess. So either blood culture or histoconfirmation. In clinical criteria, there are major criteria and minor criteria. Major criteria are of the positive blood cultures indicating the presence of organism. Echo findings, valve related or implant related mass, abscess, anything. The echo findings are also major criteria. And as I said earlier, new valvular regurgitation. Minor criteria are predisposing heart lesion or IV drug abuse, fever, vascular lesions, immunological phenomena, microbiological evidence, or echocardiographic findings. For diagnosis based on either pathologic or clinical criteria, in clinical criteria, it can be either two major criteria or one major, three minor criteria or five minor criteria. So these, if present, are important for diagnosis of infective endocarditis. So that is about infective endocarditis or bacterial endocarditis. We will just have a quick look over the other endocarditis and see how we can distinguish the vegetations of all the different types of endocarditis. Other endocarditis, important one is the Libman-Sack endocarditis, which has, again, they are all non-infective. So sterile vegetations are seen. It is a manifestation of collagen disease. 50% cases are seen in acute systemic lupus erythematosus. Grossly vegetations are seen on mitral and tricuspid valve. They are small 1 to 4 millimeter vegetations. Important thing is they are seen on both surface of affected valve and pockets. And they are sterile vegetations unless of course infected by bacteria. Microscopically, they are made up of fibrin, platelet, and sometimes you may see the presence of hematoxylin bodies in acute systemic lupus erythematosus. Another type of non-endocarditis is the non-bacterial thrombotic endocarditis, which is also called as cachextic or merantic type. These are again sterile vegetations. Etiopatho is not clear, but seen in association with many diseases like chronic debilitating diseases. Verrucae are seen on mitral, aortic and tricuspid valves, small 1 to 5 millimeter, single or multiple, seen along the line of closure of leaflets. They are more fragile than rheumatic heart disease. So let us see the vegetations in all the 4 types of endocarditis. Infective endocarditis, we saw they are large, big, bulky vegetations. Rheumatic fever, small, tiny along the cusps. These are also along the cusps. Non-bacterial are slightly bigger than the rheumatic ones, and they are also found along the cusps of the valves. But they are more fragile than rheumatic vegetations. And Libman sacs, as I said, they are seen on both surfaces of the cusps in the pockets. So distinguishing features of all the 4 depending on 2-3 things. One is the location of the valves, rheumatic, Libman-Sack, non-bacterial and infective endocarditis. This is along lines of closure. This is along lines of closure. This is also along lines of closure. Only Libman-Sack is seen on both surfaces of the valve leaflets in valve pockets. Valve involvement, rheumatic heart disease, mitral alone more common than mitral plus aortic. In Libman-Sack, it is mitral plus tricuspid. In non-bacterial, it is mainly mitral but aortic and tricuspid. In infective, mitral, aortic or mitral plus aortic. Macroscopically, we've already seen in the picture small multiple warty firmly attached vegetations. In Libman-Sack, they are medium-sized multiple. In non-bacterial, they are small but larger than rheumatic and more friable than rheumatic vegetation. And infective, they are large, gray. We've already mentioned this, seen this vegetation. Microscopically, all are made up of fibrin, fibrinoid necrosis and platelets. Only infective endocarditis vegetations have colonies of bacteria and underlying inflammation. This is how we differentiate all the different types of endocarditis according to their vegetations. Thank you and have a good day. If you have any questions, you can mail me or communicate with me.